with the start.
Good. Thank you very much. Welcome, everybody. It's wonderful to see the Planning Commission. We got Gino, Eric, Rob, Bill Marin, Michelle, Cindy. Great turnout. And, you know, before we get into business, I will say what is obvious to everybody on our town council, how much we appreciate you people and what you do, and the awesome sort of representation you constitute for the town. And so this is a wonderful opportunity to check in and see what's on your mind. Who's talking in the background? I'm sorry.
Hey, Pam, could you shut the door of the council chamber?
It is.
Hey, Mr. Mayor, it's Greg. Pam in her office is live.
Oh, okay.
So that's where it's coming through her office.
So
Alrighty. Well, thank you guys. And Susan, I know this was a check-in. You probably have an agenda, things you want to talk about, but I just wanted to welcome P&Z and thank everybody. Our meetings usually, thank God this is our last Zoom tonight, but these meetings have been going really well, surprisingly. Don't form an opinion based on what you're seeing on the start tonight. We've been doing a lot better than this, so appreciate it. So Susan, why don't you get us going here?
Well,
sure.
Susan, can I interject right here for one subject I wanted to talk about that's germane to what we're just talking about now?
Well, can we do one thing, Bill? We haven't officially, we had the mayor call the meeting to order, but one thing we wanted to do before we talked actually was to do roll call of the P&Z and the town council. And so Pam asked me to do both. So let's do that and get that out of the way, and then we can.
I thought as a work session, we didn't need to do that.
We're just doing that as a little practice now that we're on the Zoom meetings. And so it's just been a little bit different. So, so I'm going to go ahead and do roll call for the town council. Mayor Kane.
Here.
Ryan Slack isn't here yet. Elise Huddle.
Elise is muted. You're muted, Elise.
Okay, I had to unmute in two places.
Okay.
So present.
Yes, present and here. Very, very good.
Glenn Drummond.
Here.
David Knight.
Here.
Bill Infante is absent. Gary Tannenbaum.
Here.
And am I missing anybody? Okay, so we have a good representation of the town council. And with P&Z, Bill Marin.
Yes.
Kyle Oberketter is absent. Gino Rossetti. Eric Volzek.
Here.
Bernie Grauer. Bernie's trying to join in, so we'll just make a note when he joins the meeting. Rob Levitt.
Yes.
And Cindy Hirschfeld.
Here.
And Michelle Tebow.
Here.
So we have a good representation of the P&Z also. So Bill, did you want to make a comment?
Yes, I wanted to talk about what we were just talking about with the Zoom meetings, is that, and I was talking to Susan about this earlier, is that there's part of the Zoom meetings I've really felt has sort of freed us as a board. It allows us to participate from remote locations, but it also allows people to participate and the citizens to participate in a very broad and free way. But also, and this has been an issue of mine for going back years, is just the town hall is not accessible. It's not even close to accessible. And by having these Zoom meetings open for longer than we normally would once COVID is not an issue, would still probably be the cheapest way to make these meetings accessible rather than making the whole building accessible. I'd like to just encourage that we think about continuing these in the future.
So I think that was kind of a rhetorical question that we can handle maybe at the end of our meeting. But I think Bill just wanted to get that out early in the meeting.
Yeah, because if I didn't now, I wouldn't have remembered.
So we don't, the P&Z doesn't have a real big, huge mission. This is just really kind of coming out of the council's desire to check in more frequently with its boards and committees. And also when we had the joint meeting with the P&Z and the town council, the P&Z expressed the desire to meet with you more frequently. So the P&Z has been busy in the last couple of years. As we noted last year, the most significant thing we did was right before COVID, we adopted the Basalt Master Plan, which the council and the P&Z have been particularly talking a lot about the Basalt Master Plan. But we also finally came to resolution on the Basalt River Park development, granting that development entitlement documents, and we got another additional 1 acre of parkland. We approved the Aspen Skiing Company workforce housing project, and we also adopted Firewise construction amendments to our code. And this year is shaping up to be a busy year, also with Stotts Mill finally seeing some work on the ground, the Aspen Skiing Company and Takaw getting ready for their occupancy. We have active construction of Stedman Clinic, and we have the Two Rivers Road construction starting. And much of that kind of detailed work, the P&Z and the town council don't really see much of that because it's done administratively by staff. What's in front of the P&Z in terms of its current work plan, as I listed about 7 different items in your agenda. One of those was providing input to the P&Z's representative and their alternative on the capital needs study, the capital needs committee that the town council has well underway now. Eric Volzik is the P&Z's representative, and Bill Marin is the alternate. And at yesterday's meeting of the capital needs committee, that was their second one. Eric Volzik was voted to be the chair. And when he isn't there, his alternate, Bill Marin, is going to chair the meeting. That was what was decided last night. So one of the things the P&Z will be doing is providing feedback to its representatives on that committee. Cypress Meadows Parcel 5 development. That's the 155 unit residential project that you see on the kind of the remaining vacant property as part of the Willett Cypress Meadows development. That has 119 free market units and 36 affordable units. The P&Z's just started to kick off its review. It had a site visit at its last meeting and kind of identified some information that it would like to see when it's brought back to the P&Z. The other significant development application that's in is the Basalt Commercial Center application, and that one's for 40 units, 70 units on 4 stories and a 9,157 square foot grocery. That application hasn't been seen by the P&Z yet. It was just referred out to the technical review committee and our referral agencies on Monday. So neither one of those applications has been scheduled for an actual P&Z meeting to talk about the substantive items on those applications. And just want to kind of flag early on that the purpose of this meeting is we're not really trying to get into the merits of those applications. That really needs to be part of an advertised meeting where we start talking about the merits. We also have a lot of applications in the pre-application stage. We know that Lot J that the P&Z and the town council weighed in on at the end of Emma Road, that's coming in now for its final plan review. We had pre-application discussions on a significantly large annexation, but we haven't heard anything recently on that one. We have a number of smaller applications, particularly in the Hill District, looking at ADUs or increases in dwelling units. And oftentimes those smaller applications, just because of their complexity and neighborhood issues, tend to tend to spend a considerable amount of time on it. We also have some code amendments. P&Z's looked at some of these. They'll be looking at them again when they're processing them for amendments to bring our proposed public works manual and update the code at the same time to make those consistent. We'll also be looking at some sustainability code amendments, potentially addressing advocating more solar installations, and the other one is kind of getting us electric ready. Also looking at small cell facilities. We had adopted code amendments earlier, and we kind of put when our discussions when we were talking to the P&Z was that we needed to kind of bring those back and see how those were working. And then depending on available time, the P&Z will be looking at other items to implement the master plan and the council strategic work plan. You know, the town adopted the 2020 Basalt master plan, and that really gives the framework for the P&Z and the town council to review land use applications. I think what the P&Z, when we met last week, the thing that they really wanted me to emphasize to the council was just the tremendous amount of citizen input that went into that plan. So really what we're asking for today is we just really want to check in with the town council. We want the town council to provide us any feedback on the recommendations that you're seeing from the P&Z. I think we're busy enough that we aren't really ready as staff to kind of take on any new projects that aren't listed in the strategic work plan. But if there's something that you guys want to start a discussion on for what should be in the 2022 budget or the 2022 strategic work plan, we can do that. Maybe with that, Bill, I can kind of just throw it over to you to kind of maybe highlight some of the things that are of most interest to you that you'd like the council to be aware of.
All right, well, first what I'll do is I'll throw this to the rest of my board, and I will come in with my thoughts last. But let's start with Gino. Gino, do you have any thoughts about that you wanted to bring up with council as to agenda items for this meeting?
No, as I said, the most important thing is that we stay on board so that we know what P&Z and the council want to do and do it in a good way, rather than finding out after the fact what things might happen. The second thing is just making sure that if there are things now that the council has felt that are perhaps not quite right, or they don't quite agree with everything that we've been espousing in the master plan, it would be a good thing to know now so that we can either correct or change or convince or do something so that we're all on the same page.
Thank you, Gino. Rob, do you have any thoughts?
We now only have 17 more minutes together, so I'll be brief. I think Gino said it really well. It feels like our relationship is a one-way street where we send our minutes to you, and you guys hear what we talk about. We don't get a lot of feedback from you as to what more we could do to make your jobs easier and for you guys to do better. So I'd love to hear back from you guys as well.
Thank you, Rob. Eric, thoughts?
The only thing I would add at this point, obviously, participating in the Capital Needs Committee is, seeing if there are ways that we can, take the information that's being shared and see if there are any good projects to kind of put forward for implementing the master plan and what the town needs. So other than that, I echo what Gino and Rob said and look forward to continuing the conversation.
Thank you, Eric. Cindy, do you have any thoughts?
No, I don't have anything specific other than what was mentioned. I'd say as a newer member of P&Z, I feel like I'm more in a listening mode in this meeting.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Michelle, thoughts?
Good afternoon. I would say I'm too new to have too much input here, but I am curious about furthering our relationship with Eagle County and working on some of those remaining unincorporated properties around the town boundaries. Also, I'm here cheering on the Basalt Little League team as we compete against Aspen in our playoffs. So sorry for my casual demeanor.
That's completely understood. I did a Zoom meeting from picking up my kids at track practice this afternoon. There's a couple things I wanted to bring up before we go over to council, but my big impetus now is just the implementation of our master plan that Eric and I are on that committee for. And my personal big issue is affordable housing. And that was very well bolstered by the community weighing in on it too as the #1 issue. So I never want to lose sight of that. It's the one thing that binds us as a community for a while. So Bill, it's over to you.
Great. Well, thank you guys. You know, just sort of jotting down sort of where we are here. And this is almost stream of consciousness, but basically what's out in front of us right now in various stages of planning, construction, and completion. Stotts Mill, Stedman, Takaw, the pool, the river park, the public works building, the fiber and broadband initiative, the river park townhomes, the grocery store redevelopment, which is a very big deal. Lot 12 Emma Road and ski company housing is really finally really in the final completion stages. This comes against the backdrop of working on this Forward 2030 plan, which is going to afford us some enormous opportunities. I just think this is a big moment for Basalt. We're going to retire these bonds. We're going to have a significant revenue stream that's going to afford us the ability to actually implement some of these wish list items that came in the comprehensive plan. And as you know, we're working hard to get going on that. We have an 8-member capital improvements committee, and it's a great group of people. And I just think we're going to witness the human activity in the Roaring Fork Valley, the likes of which we've not seen before this summer from all appearances. Everything's sold out. All the VRBOs are maxed out. The hotels are all full, and it's going to be a very prosperous summer. But I think for us, for those of us that are stewards for all this, I think we're going to be very grateful that we have the urban growth boundary that we do, and that we have the zoning and development standards in place that we do. So, and those are probably going to be tested. I think we're going to see a lot of ideas. I get buttonholed on the street all the time. And so it's going to be critical over the next 12, 24 months for us to work closely together. I can certainly see joint meetings to make sure that we're seeing these things to the degree possible the same way. You know, it's all good stuff. I mean, I think the 2030 forward thing has some fabulous ideas are surfacing, and these aren't pipe dreams. These are things that we can actually afford to do. And I just know, speaking for council, I think we all want to make sure that this all gets in front of P&Z and that we all have an opportunity to look at this together, because we really value your effort, your time, and your skill and your opinions that will help shape all this stuff that's before us. So I'd like to see if other counselors want to expand on that or dispute that. However, Gary,
hey, could I just do one thing before we go to counselors? I have Bernie, and he had some technical challenges, and he wanted to say a couple items before we went to the council. So this is probably going to be awkward because he's on my cell phone, but Bernie, do you want to say anything?
Well, I just say that I was really pleased to see the incredible progress that Takaw made toward opening its Performing Arts Center, and the progress on the River Park. And, you know, having been on P&Z and council for 11 years, seems like that's something we've worked on. all these years. My only other comment is I'm wondering if the council is going to formally adopt a plan for developing affordable housing in the town, since this was highest on the priority list of our master planning public meetings. And to me, a real plan would have objectives and timelines. That's all my comments.
I can quickly respond to the housing one. That's one of the elements that's in our wish list of items that will be addressed in the Forward 2030 planning effort. And again, we're not viewing that as another wish list item to be shelved. This is something that would be on an immediate implementation list. And what shape that takes, we're going to find out. It could be land, it could be buy downs, it could be there are any number of things that could happen. Ryan Mahoney, do you want to say anything about that?
About the Basalt Forward 2030, or specifically about affordable housing?
Well, it's both of those items, how the potential for housing would maybe be an element within the 2030 plan.
Yeah, we, as it was indicated earlier by Bill and Eric, we've had 2 meetings so far on the with our Capital Needs Committee, and really drilling in. I think last night was a productive meeting talking about the actual projects and what are the a reasonable number of projects that we can distill a list of 13 plus what will come out in our facility needs down to that can be funded. And the next steps on that are to get input from the community. We do have one more meeting with the Capital Needs Committee to really kind of hone in on those. And I think affordable housing is certainly one. And I think all of those ideas that you named, Mayor, of different strategies to approach are valid. I think one shining example that we keep coming back to is Basalt Vista, and that one was a partnership, and I think that that's maybe a good strategy for us. And then that idea of buy downs is one where, again, we are not building affordable housing. We are using different financial tools to approach it, and so I think there's several different ways to skin this cat, and I think that'll come out in this process. So I think it's really exciting and more progress to come. So thanks.
Yeah. Councilors, comments you want to add on to that? Gary has his hand up. Gary.
Yeah, thanks, Bill. And thanks, everyone. I kind of agree with a lot of what all you guys have said about the priorities. And yes, affordable housing is definitely one. But I also want to, as we're reviewing, we have pretty large developments coming through, and they're coming through you guys right now, is one of the things I'd really like to explore is how to make these as net zero as possible. I think that's, something it's in the master plan, the strategic goal of the master plan is the environmental piece. And I think it's critical that we stick to it, because there's a lot of development that's going to be added and potential, and it's all in the urban growth boundary, and it's all in areas that, we deem, suitable for redevelopment and everything. But how do we make those as environmentally sustainable as possible is going to be critical. And I know they'll talk about, it's walkability and other things, but really trying the energy use or the use of electricity over gas, I think it would be great if we could, move forward on that. And, one of the things I do want to think about is if, this 2030, as this moves forward and everything else, is we're going to have to, if we want more affordable housing, we potentially not just create a plan, we're going to have to change some regulations. So, we just need to look at that. Obviously, we can't just change it on the go for the applications that are in process, but we do need to look at it and go, how do we get more? And is there ways to incentivize this instead of just making it a typical, we just regulate it? And I'd love to engage not only P&Z, but the community and the building community on how we do that, because I think it's a perfect time for the development community also to be thinking about it, because the building community and everyone's going to be struggling with the lack of affordable housing come, 5-10 years from now. So anyway, that's just my thoughts, but thanks everyone.
Thanks, Gary.
Hey, Bill, I don't know if you can hear me. I think I was unmuted.
Hey, Ryan. Yeah, we got
Anyone?
You.
Yeah, I have been listening from the start. I was unmuted at the start. I would like to thank everyone at P&Z and for all you do, as I did serve on P&Z, so I understand what you guys are doing. The one thing I would like to bring up is just the general carrying capacity of the valley. And it's something I've talked about during the master plan, and it's still something I'm very concerned about is where are numbers on, how much wastewater do we have? How much water do we have access to? Highway 82 is controlled by CDOT. Where are the schools? Where, I know we can't build, we can continually build, but I think we all did move here for this small town feel, and not that I want to shut the door behind us, but I would also like to have that realistic discussion on what are these true numbers. And I know people pay fees and this stuff can expand, but that's my greatest worry, is that we continue to build, and all of a sudden the basalt that we all moved here for is not the basalt that we're here, that becomes. So that's my only concern, but I appreciate all you guys are doing and look forward to continuing working with you guys.
Thank you.
Mayor, I don't know that you can see Glenn. He's had his hand up.
Oh, there he is. That lava lamp had it. It's kind of all disguised there. I couldn't see it.
It's distracting.
Is it running tonight, Glenn? It looks like it's sort of not
it's
much
not,
going on.
I think it might be broke because it's sat in the sun.
No.
But it's kind of echoing the same as Gary and Ryan is, I'm involved with Eagle County's Vista project, and we had a meeting last night, and one thing that came up is like, how do we strike a balance between enough affordable housing, enough development, and how much this valley can really handle. And it's just keep that in mind whenever reviewing any project would be the one thing I'd ask, because I know affordable housing is extremely important to us all, but like Ryan had mentioned, what is the carrying capacity of this valley? Like how big can we get? And unfortunately, when you have a lot of affordable housing, you're creating more units, you're creating more people. I'm with Ryan Slack. I don't want to shut the door on it, but I think we got to try to plan it as best we can so that, 10, 15 years from now, we're not a 50,000 population town. But otherwise, thanks. Thank you guys for everything you do. Do a great job.
Cindy.
Along the lines of what just the recent comments have been in the carrying capacity, is there a place that we can find what projects that are upcoming that have been in the works for a while? I'm thinking of something like the Cypress Meadows, where we'll be getting the application soon, but theoretically that has been on the board since Willits was being developed, as my understanding. Things like that, so that we can look at, to keep in mind, to have more of an overall vision, so that when projects come, we can think, yeah, okay, this project, to evaluate projects in the context of what is coming down the road. Is there a resource we can look to for that kind of stuff?
Susan, you might want to deal
with I think, Cindy, what I immediately kind of draw your attention to is that the main document of the master plan is, you can find both the master plan and then the kind of the support documents, the addendum that includes a lot of the baseline information. And those links are also on the master plan. So I think immediately, I think I would draw your attention to that, because those are kind of the information that the P&Z and the town council kind of weighed in on when we were doing the master plan. You know, like the council had asked for, you know, how many approved but unbuilt units were available, but we can maybe package that together a little differently for you, but that's probably at the present time kind of your best bet.
Okay, yeah, that helps. It's been a little while since I've looked at that, so I didn't.
Yeah, and I would just say the other thing, since I'm talking, is we're kind of running out of time because we probably want a minute before we go back into our regular council meeting. The two counselors I don't think we've heard from are Commissioner Knight and Commissioner Huddle, so I don't know if either one of you would like to say anything, because I think we're kind of going to need to wrap up.
Sure. I just want to thank everybody for all the work you do. I think things are going really well. I've learned a lot from you guys over the last year. We have a lot on our plate coming up. We have a process and a framework and a master plan. And I think what everybody's been saying about kind of striking that balance between how do we sustain the community and sustain our environment, built and otherwise, with affordable housing, with all the challenges. I mean, it's exciting that we have that in front of us, and that we have kind of the tools and the people to where we go with Basalt Forward 2030. So pretty energized by the whole thing, and thanks for all you do.
Yeah, I would echo a lot of what's already been said. I also agree that affordable housing is a huge issue for our valley, for mountain towns in general. There was a really interesting article in the Colorado Sun about how Crested Butte is talking about having a strike or a walkout or a tent city live-in or something like that. And there's talk of a dark tax for houses that are empty in all year, except for the 3 weeks that the family's there, you know, on vacation or whatever. Really interesting. But in any case, and I also agree with Gary about sustainability being in the foreground of all of our decision-making process, and particularly with affordable housing, it's a really good match. And I also just want to say thank you for being the first line of defense, for, you know, being the ones that sort of comb through that beautiful master plan document and match up the projects that come through with the qualities that we're looking for. So thank you.
Well said, thanks.
So Mayor Kane, I think, you know, if you might want to, if you have some wrap up comments, I think we've heard from all the P&Z members and the town council members at least one time. And so I'll just kind of throw it back to you to do a wrap up.
Well, thank you. We appreciate the chance to chat. I do think our next meeting is probably going to be face-to-face. Bill Marin's comments notwithstanding about Zoom. I would have to say, honestly, Bill, that Zoom has been convenient, but I think it has been disappointing in terms of actual public outreach and engagement. We work hard to get people to call in. We have done a lot in the way of information infrastructure here to try to accommodate more public engagement, and it's really been difficult, honestly. I mean, we'll have a meeting in town hall. It's not unusual to get 10 people that want to address council with issues when we meet face to face, but it's a bear of a problem to get people call in and want to participate. They're either cowed by the technology or the sort of abstract impersonal nature of the computer stuff. So I certainly wouldn't say no to future meetings, but I think we look forward to getting back face to face in real world. Gary?
I was just hoping we'd keep a hybrid way for, you know, to be able to make sure that people can participate via, you know, Zoom or something else. I really I think the hybrid approach works great because, Bill, I've been, council meetings before, it's the same people that show up, that come up to a lot of the meetings. And so I think this is a way potentially to get more people. We haven't had a really difficult topic in a long time. And so I do believe as we get into more, potentially more controversial ones, providing as many options for people as possible to participate would be great. I'm totally in favor of meeting in person and having people be able to do that in person, but I do feel if we can keep a Zoom or some type of way for people to be able to participate, that they don't have to come to town hall, would just do us justice as a community that wants to be as inclusive as possible.
And really, that's what I was advocating for, is just the option for that, for the people who just can't get into our meetings.
Yeah, you're getting a lot of thumbs up on that, Gary, so thank you. Well, with that, I think we're going to have to depart and turn to our regular council meeting schedule. So on behalf of council, town staff, I'd like to thank P&Z. We'll stay in touch with you. Hopefully we will be able to work together on these 2030 initiatives and talk about some of these development projects that are coming forward. So thanks, guys.
Bill, it's good.
Thank you.
Goodbye,
everybody.
Bill Kane,
Yeah.
Okay.
do you have your lavalier? It's rather difficult to hear you.
Susan said that it was better if I had it on the desk. Why was this not working as well?
I didn't hear you as well.
Okay.
I'm not sure what Caesar's thinking. He's the one who it really counts in this.
Okay, how about that now?
Oh, that sounds better to me. Let me go check with Caesar. Thank you.
All right, Pam, thanks.
Yeah, it's louder and clear.
So,
My end.
appreciate it, guys.
Bye-bye.
So we'll just, it's 2 minutes to 6. Well, I'm just going to stay on. I mean, I think you can take a 2-minute break, come back on, but we've got about 2 minutes.
Okay, that's too
Can you hear me now, Caesar? You're on.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the May 25th, 2021 meeting of the Basalt Town Council. We would like to call our meeting to order and ask our town clerk to call the roll for attendance of the town council.
Okay. Ooh, that's scary. I'm on, okay. I'm unmuted, but now I am very echoey. Gary Tenenbaum.
Here.
Thank you, Gary. Bill Infante is absent this evening. Glenn Drummond.
Here.
Thank you, Glenn. David Knight.
Here.
Thank you, David. Elise Hoddle.
Present.
Thank you, Elise. Ryan Slack.
Here.
Thank you, Ryan. And Bill King.
Here.
Okay, 6 out of 7, not bad. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. First order of business is to approve the consent agenda, which consists of minutes from our town council meeting of May 11th, 2021. So I'd entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Mayor, I move that the town council approve the consent agenda items as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, moved and seconded. We can approve this with voice vote, I believe, unless otherwise directed by Jeff. So all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Consent agenda is approved. Next order of business is our call to the public. And this is an opportunity for members of the public to address town council. We request that you keep your comments to maximum of 3 minutes, and please identify your name and address when making comments to council. So the floor is open. Susan will explain briefly how to dial in and get on the Zoom meeting here to talk to council. I know Jerry Terwilliger and our fourth graders are on hand, so we'll hear from them. We'll also create an opportunity for others to call in. Susan, why don't you do that?
Sure. The easiest way to join the town council meeting is to go to the town's website, www.basalt.net, and go to the agenda center. And if you go to the agenda center for the town council meeting for tonight, the first thing you see is the meeting access instructions, and there is a link you can hit and be entered into the Zoom meeting, and then Pam enters you in. If you don't have that ability, you can call, and Caesar should have that up on the screen, 1-253-215-8782. And then when they ask, the webinar ID is 926-0159-5836. And so if you have any other immediate issues, you could text me at 970-379-1514. And I know that that Jerry Twilliger is identified that he would like to speak during this time. So Pam, do you want to, I think on.
Jerry, would you like to address council?
Yes, I have just an update to the council about the community garden.
Oh, good.
The community garden this year is just about full. And this is the first time we've been working that garden for years, and now we finally are just about full. I don't know the reasons for it, but you can imagine perhaps it's the pandemic, or more people have moved to the valley, or finally people are more aware of it. But whatever the reason, we're quite filled up. We're very pleased to be quite filled up. And we want to see how we look next year. And next year, if we look full and people who want to be there but can't because we're full, we would come back and ask the town council for permission to expand the garden. Right now, Billy Grange, of course, has plowed and dragged the rest of the field there, but I believe at one time someone said we could have an acre. We right now have a half acre. And if we were to expand it, we'd like to expand it west. It would cost some money, moving the fence and extending water lines. And I think that would be the total cost of it. Anyhow, just wanted to give you guys an alert, and hopefully we continue. We won't know until next year, obviously, that whether or not we need to expand it.
Great. Jerry, thank you very much. I do recall the garden was part and parcel of the Soper's Chase open space acquisition out there. I believe is located on that site. And I thought we did allow for some future expansion of the garden, but I think staff will have to dig into that. At any rate, we really appreciate your efforts, Jerry. That's quite a compliment to the town, and pretty neat to see how well it's working and how popular it is. It's a great spot. So thanks for all of your efforts, and you know, we will look at what it might involve to provide some more land.
Yeah, we appreciate the town too, because the town does provide financial services, provides water and sometimes a little service from Public Works, but that's about it. The rest of us, we run the rest of it pretty well. And thank you very much. And we'll talk to you next year maybe about it.
Thanks, Jerry. That'd be great. And wouldn't hurt if some of those squash worked their way into town hall somehow.
I could change that.
You make that happen. All right.
Careful, you might get a car full of zucchini.
Exactly.
All right. Have a good night, guys, folks.
We've got some fourth graders that look like they're would like to address council. You guys.
Mr. Mayor, they were under our presentations.
Oh, okay.
So we can, if we want to do council.
Okay. Okay. No, we'll do them
first.
later. We'll do them later. We'll do them under presentations then. That sounds great. Thank you. Glenn, did you have your hand up for something? No, sorry. Okay. Any other call-ins, public comment? Okay. Well, with that, then I think the floor is open for mayor and council reports and comments. So I'd like to hear from anybody in council that would like to address fellow councilors. Glenn, you do have your hand up now.
Sorry. So just wanted to give council an update on, we had the Basalt Emergency Management Committee meeting on 5/13/2021. Couple things, Scott Thompson, burn restrictions are anticipated to be put in place in June just because soil moisture is super low. The one neat statistic that he did share with us is that the Garfield County Airport had less than 3 inches of rain last year, versus Tucson, Arizona, which averages 3 inches of rain per year. There will be extra patrols starting 1st of June to watch for lightning strikes, small fire outbreaks. The USGS rain gauges are projected to be on Basalt Mountain by Memorial Day or the week after. As far as the police department goes, they have been dealing with a fair amount of mental health calls, welfare checks, and it seems to be that people are kind of at the latter stage of these types of incidences as far as being in a bit more crisis than normal. Birch Barron from Eagle County updated us, flash floods to be an issue this summer if we experience any type of heavy rainfall. Flood risk is pretty low because snowpack is only at 70% average, but that does lead to, like what Scott Thompson mentioned, be prepared for a wildfire season, having fire restrictions in place. COVID update, vaccine percentage. I think as of this point, this statistic's probably a little bit off, but it was 59.8% of the population had been vaccinated in Eagle County. 52,588 doses have been administered. And any type of hospitalization event we're seeing for anybody has been from a non-vaccinated individual. Let's see. That's probably about it. As far as from Basalt Chamber of Commerce, they're going to be starting to shift back to directly for business community instead of the entire community. They've done a great job in the past year and a half to do what they could to help everybody deal with the COVID experience. Thankfully, I think we're kind of on the down roll of this, hopefully. And then as far as an update on the Eagle County Vista project, did want to mention that Eagle County is looking for as much community input and involvement as possible. And they've launched a new website. It's the Vista website, and it's vistaeagleco.com. You can also find it at facebook.com/Vista Eagle Co. They're also on Instagram. I don't have that hashtag thing because I really don't know how that works because I'm like an old man when it comes to that kind of stuff. So just check it out, get involved wherever you can. They really, really, really want community input. And I think it's a great opportunity for this side of the valley to give input to Eagle County when it comes to how they're going to plan. You know, this project's probably going to take about 18 months, but it's a great opportunity for this side of the valley to give your input to Eagle County and help be involved with Eagle County in their forward planning process. And that's all I got.
Thanks, Glenn. That's a good update. Appreciate hearing about it. Others, anyone else want to report? I've got a couple short items. I did have a chance to meet with Mr. David Portman, who's the CEO of the new First Bank, which will be located in the hole at Willits, the little hole that still exists between Whole Foods and the Element. We'll have a new bank building on it, and ground will be broken on June 8th, and councilors will be invited. June 8th is also a council meeting day, so it's probably going to be around 3:30 in the afternoon so that we can get out there and get back. So that's going on. I had a chance to do a walkthrough of the art-based building and remodel effort, which is pretty stunning. It's really going to be quite an attractive space, and I know that staff is over there working. So if you're cruising down the street, feel free to stop in and take a look around and see the gallery space on the ground floor. And there's a children's art education on the second floor. And then there's adult classrooms as well, which are really impressive. So that's all gone well. We did have our RAFTA board meeting and we're way in the weeds in terms of sorting through budget and compensation packages and housing issues with staff. But looks like we're going to have a full service summer, and the Maroon Bus service is back up, and you know, we're bracing for a very busy summer season at RAFTA. And fortunately, with the relaxation of restrictions, it looks like it's going to be a pretty successful summer for public transportation. So anyone else? All right, hearing none, going once, going twice. So our next order of business is to hear from our town manager, the manager's report, and he's going to talk about the capital needs committee. So Mr. Mahoney, the floor is all yours.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, so I was going to give a brief update on our progress so far on the Capital Needs Committee. So we have met twice at this point, and we met last night. The first meeting, which was on the 17th, a week ago, yesterday, was really an introduction to the process and reviewing the bylaws. We did a brief rundown of what we're doing with the capital needs the facility needs study, and then also reviewed the list of 13 projects that were in the master plan. So if you recall, the Basalt Forward 2030 is really first step here to implementing our master plan that we adopted in 2020. And so last night, we made some really good progress with our group and started putting these projects from the master plan into different buckets. And you can see the yellow highlighted, has to do with affordable housing. The orange has to do with transportation. As well, I think you can draw a direct link to our sustainability focus within the town. The number 4 there is, of course, looking at sustainability, investing in a solar project. And I think it's also important on this list here to highlight the fact that we've already started. So making a $100,000 a year investment in greenhouse gas emissions reduction. We've been doing that. This year, we've done more than ever on that front. And the Firewise mitigation project, we've been doing that consistently for the last few years, and just finished, this week, we're doing some more work up in the Hill District, and then also working with the SWIFT crew out of Rifle Correctional Facility again to work in Ponderosa Park this summer. So we do continue to do some community-based projects, but then also projects on public land, town-owned land. And the other one that's in here is the Parcel 2E, which is a daycare facility in the Willits area. And I think some interesting takeaways from last night when we talked to folks was, with some of these, investing in a significant solar project, for example, and getting to the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions ultimately was, we don't necessarily have a project on the books, and we may not between now and the time that council decides whether to put a question to the voters. And so a question was posed, well, if we come up with concrete projects, say, for example, the Midland Avenue streetscape, can you integrate some of our values that were highlighted in the master plan, such as support of public arts or our greenhouse gas emissions reductions? Are those values, can they carry over into those projects? So that, I think the answer to that question is a resounding yes. And, I think we're really starting to get the input we wanted from this committee. So I think that's pretty exciting. And then I'll just close off here with the 2 projects down at the bottom. Those are sort of sneak previews of what we're seeing from the capital, the facility needs study, that looking into the future, a town hall and police facility are needed. We're simply outgrowing those. We're a growing town. Both of those were built with a 2,500 person population in mind, and we're already nearly double that. And so we just want to set ourselves up with a clear path in the future for ensuring that we can continue to provide the service that we do to the community. And it was the committee's direction to add those into this project list. So that was nice to hear from the community. And I think I'll leave it at that for now, but we'll look forward to getting back with the community or with the committee. And we're really going to start to drill down on the survey that will go out to the community. And then also coming up here on June 8th, we'll be talking to the council about the facility needs study that should be ready for public viewing at that point. So thank you, Mayor, on that piece. One more quick thing is our mural project is underway. And here on the side of Town Hall, right behind my head here in my office, a new mural was put up on the wall. And then also on the side of the stage, a new mural was put up today, which is very cool. Brings, kind of that relation to the river and the importance of our waters. And then there will be one going on the front of the planning building over there as well. So making progress on that mural project. So thanks.
Great. Okay, thank you. Any questions for Ryan? Great, thank you, Ryan. Next order of business are our presentations, and the first one is item 6A. This is the Basalt Elementary 4th grade class presentation regarding composting. So our town manager, Ryan Mahoney, will lead this off, and we've got 3 good-looking 4th graders. They're not 4th graders anymore. I guess they're almost 5th graders now. So
that's right.
Yeah.
So that's right. I think we could start off with introductions, and maybe we could get these boys to tell us who they are. And then I believe that their teacher is hiding just off screen. And she's been doing a lot of really cool work with these boys. So it'd be fun to have her introduce herself as well. So, and then we can kick it off and hear more about composting in Basalt.
Good deal.
Hello, my name is Thea Mahoney. This is Johanna Argueta. And Kevin Morens. We go to Basalt Elementary School, and we are in Miss Hanson's 4th grade class. We want to share our ideas about composting to the town council. At BES, we compost in our classroom and in the cafeteria. Our class did weekly lessons learning about what you can and cannot compost. First, we would like to talk about the benefits and drawbacks of composting.
Some benefits are composting reduce the waste in the landfill. Additionally, composting will turn your food into soil to grow new food. Some drawbacks of composting are you here to pay $18 a month for compost pickup. Furthermore, it takes extra effort. For example, you have to put your food scraps in a separate bin and dump them out in the composting container. We wanted to share our composting program at Basalt Elementary with the town council. In the future, we would like to collaborate with the town of Basalt to promote composting in our community.
Nuestros nombres son Kevin Moreno,
Johanna Argueta,
Thea Mahoney.
y yo voy a Basalt Elementary en 4º grado en la clase de Miss Hansen. Nosotros queremos compartir nuestras desde compostar al ayudamiento aquí en BES. Nosotros compostamos en nuestra clase y en la cafetería. Nuestra clase hizo secciones semanales para aprender lo que se puede y no se puede compostar. Primero nos gustaría hablar sobre los beneficios y los desventajas de compostaje. Algunos de los beneficios son el compostaje. Además, el compostaje convertirá los alimentos en tierra para producir nuevos alimentos. Algunos inconvenientes del compostaje: estás aquí para pagar $18 al mes por la recolección del compostaje. Además, se necesita un esfuerzo adicional. Por ejemplo, ocupas poner restos de comida en un contenedor y ponerlos en un contenedor de compostaje. Queríamos compartir nuestro programa en Basalt Elementaria con el ayuntamiento. En el futuro nos gustaría colaborar con la ciudad de Basalt, promover el compostaje en nuestra comunidad.
Gracias. Es muy impresionante que tú puedes hacer sus comentarios en inglés y español. Es muy importante porque tenemos mucha gente que entienden español más mejor que inglés. So, gracias.
Hi, this is Miss
Hey,
Hanson.
Catherine.
I want to say
How you
how
doing?
I want to express how grateful we are for the time to share our thoughts on composting with the town council. And the kids can answer any questions you have about our program here at Basalt Elementary School.
Questions for council? You guys have curbside composting? Do you have a company that picks up? How do you do it?
Yeah, Evergreens. Evergreen
That's
Zero
great.
Way. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Did you guys think of any ways to collaborate with the town on composting?
I don't think so.
We had a few ideas that we were playing around with. We were thinking some public outreach. A lot of our kids made posters in English and Spanish promoting composting in our community, about items we can and cannot compost, some facts about composting, and we were going to submit those posters to the town council to see if we could do some sort of public ad campaign to try to promote composting.
Awesome.
So the cafeteria staff are all plugged into this. They're all
Yes. Yeah.
organizing, separating
Yeah, they
food
put
waste, and that's impressive, guys.
yeah, they put a composting bin, a trash bin, and a recycling bin. And they put like a piece of paper with the need to compost and not compost. Yeah, which we do in every classroom.
Great. Questions of council for these guys? These four and a half graders, almost fifth graders. Well, we really appreciate what you're doing. This is really important for the future of our civilization to find ways to save our earth and use our resources more wisely and create better food. So you guys are doing great stuff there. We really appreciate you doing it. We really appreciate you coming and presenting to council. Any other comments from councilors?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Keep spreading the word.
Thanks, guys. Catherine, thank you very much for orchestrating all this. This is great.
Thank you again for having us. And we'll be reaching out in the future to future fourth graders. They'll come up with some more ideas about how we can collaborate in the future. This is something we care a lot about as a school and would love to be active in our community and the town of Basalt going forward.
Beautiful. Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye. Next item are council actions. So we have a late entry. Maybe it's a late entry, I'm not sure. Ryan can explain to us. But anyway, the next item is 7A. It's council acknowledgement of the town manager's approval of the Two Rivers Road contract. So James and Ryan have this.
Okay, thanks, Mayor. Let me share my screen here for a second, just a second.
Okay.
So this item is consideration of providing the town manager direction to authorize the Two Rivers Road improvements contract, even though it is slightly over the April cost estimates from Sopris Engineering that the town council reviewed. As a bit of background, the Basalt River Park Development Ordinance that approved the Two Rivers Road improvements with the Basalt River Park and Basalt River Park Development. It included improvements that are similar to those by RMI, as well as the River Center, including chicanes and colored concrete crosswalks in the Two Rivers Road, as well as changes to the parking scenario. And subsequent to that, as part of the River Park Ordinance, it required the developer to pay $600,000 contribution towards those Two Rivers Road improvements. And it was negotiated that the town would pick up the rest of the cost of those improvements. So the town council in April approved resolution 17 of series of 2021, which approved an agreement with the Basalt River Park developer to enter into a contract with his contractor to construct the Two Rivers Road improvements that are associated with Basalt River Park and the Basalt River Park development. That agreement included that the town manager could authorize of a contract between the developer and his contractor if the bid that they had was under or at the cost estimate amount that the council reviewed in April that was done by Sopris Engineering. And that cost estimate amount was $1,184,982. But it indicated that if the bid came in over that cost estimate amount, that we would bring it back to the council to take a look at. And so the applicant's contractor has provided a guaranteed maximum price bid contract that was about $8,500 over the $1,184,982 cost estimate. So Finance Director Christy Jacoin came up with a spreadsheet that shows the total costs with the $8,500 overage when you looked at the cost estimates. It also includes some ad services, which included adding fiber to the project, as well as testing from the engineers to make sure that the asphalt, as well as the concrete, was sufficient, which is generally done on all kind of road projects. And so those ad services were added to the overall cost, but weren't in the cost estimates originally. Staff generally thinks that the overage and the additional ad services are appropriate and needed items. Staff was actually very pleased with the contract amount. We have heard some significant increases in construction costs kind of throughout the valley. And so we were pretty happy with the bid and the contract that came in. So staff would recommend providing direction to the town manager to be able to authorize the contract with the overages, as well as the two ad services of the fiber and the testing. So this evening, staff would suggest hearing if Christy has any more details she would like to provide in terms of where the funding would come from, and then providing council consideration and discussion. Christy, do you have any other detail you'd like to add?
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't have anything else to add. I'll just take the comments, except for maybe one thing is that the bottom pink area really denotes the supplemental budget that we'll need to add at some point this year for being, because this project, just to make sure that we're good on our budget. And I separated out the discussion with council we had April 12th. Those top three there are denoted with what we've already discussed in the pink. The top three in the pink are what we already discussed. And then the ad of the 78,505 is today. And so as James stated, that 8,505 has to do with that contract difference, and then there's some scope increase with the fiber and SGM to get to the 78,505. So, and then you get to a total town part of 247,694 in overage, and then you have the developer paid overages that were additional scope additions on the developer side of 93,335. And those costs are also included in the total FCI bid.
And we do also have Will Kaiser from FCI as well as Andrew Light with the development group. Do you guys have any comments or questions?
This is Andrew Light. I would just say that Tim and I are very pleased with these numbers. I think FCI has done a fantastic job of working them to the point of where we are and making sure we get the appropriate number of bids so that we're getting the best pricing we can. And we've had great experience with them on our projects in Willett. So when they say they'll do something, they usually get it done. We've been very comfortable with that. So we feel very good about where this came out.
So at this point, staff would suggest asking any questions you may have or providing discussion.
Thanks, James. Elise has a question.
Actually, I am just going to recuse myself from this conversation. So I will rejoin for the next agenda item.
Okay, thank you. That doesn't affect our quorum, hopefully. I don't think so. Any other comments, questions of council for Brian, Christie, or staff? Hearing none, I would, Glenn, you have a comment?
I think David does.
I do, though.
Oh, sorry, David. Go ahead.
I appreciate kind of the refinement of the numbers and kind of the narrative along with it. Just wanted to ask a couple quick questions on the scope additions and those estimates. How firm do we think those are? Just want to kind of think about how those numbers are going to materialize as actual in the future.
Sure. So the fiber numbers, we don't have those back. So it is an estimate at this point. And, I think we'll be working with Will and his group to try to get those back. And at this point, they understand what number we're plugging in. The SGM testing is probably a little easier for us. As far as a standard, we did add in here what we believe to be a conservative number on that, and so we think that'll cover it. And one of the things to speak to in here also is that when you look at the total cost from 520, we've built in a contingency in there of $30,000, and that's a complement to a contingency that's in the contract from the contractor as well. So we do want to make sure we're covering our bases there, which I think we have adequately here. So, but to get to your specific question, David, we need a little more time on that, but we think it's a pretty good number.
Okay, and can you just comment a little bit on how the fiber relates to the other projects of fiber that are already going on? People might be curious about that. Sure. So what I believe this additional run is here is for we would not utilize this portion for the current build. I think we're going to use we're going to use since we have the road open, we want to just ensure that we get that conduit in there. But I should say, I think a part of it could be used for the project we're doing this summer. But we have a meeting this week to kind of look at that alignment because Holy Cross Energy did a project last summer where they brought the fiber down to RMI area. And then we believe that we have an as-built that shows some fiber already in the road that occurred during, I believe, the construction of RMI. But then we were gonna run a conduit up to the four-way intersection of Midland
and Two Rivers Road. And I don't think that part was necessarily going to be occupied right now. Susan, do you want to correct me on that section at all?
I think you did a pretty good job of explaining it. I think there's some details that we have to work through on the as-builts. The ones that are were in conjunction with the work that we did on the River Park back in 2013. But we want to lay conduit up to the intersection. And there's some details that we have to work out. We're working with HR Green, who's the same company that the Roaring Fork Broadband is using, which really kind of helps us with that coordination.
Thanks. Any other questions of town staff, like council? All right, hearing none, I would entertain a motion to, I think it's a authorization simply. So this is a council authorization for the delegation for the town manager to approve the Two Rivers Road construction project.
So moved.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, I think we better call the roll on this one. Pam? Been moved and seconded, so please call the roll.
All right.
You're on mute now, so it just seems to.
Pam, you're muted.
Yes, I just heard that.
Is that any better?
Yeah.
Still echoey in here. Okay. Okay, David, let's begin with Elise Hoddle. Oh, Elise recused herself. Excuse me. Ryan Slack.
Yes.
Thank you, Ryan. Bill Kane.
Yes.
Bill Kane.
Yes. Oops, yeah, I'm not muted. Can you hear me, Ben?
Can anybody hear Bill? I'm sorry.
I can hear him.
Okay. We'll take that as a yes. Thank you. Glenn Drummond.
Yes.
Thank you. David Knight.
Yes.
Thank you. And Gary Tenenbaum.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you, guys. All right, next order of business is a public hearing and second reading of ordinance number 5, series of 2021. Ordinance of the Town Council of the Town of Basalt, Colorado, approving a license agreement for the encroachment of a berm and landscaping in the town's right-of-way for the property located at 10 River Oaks. James.
Do we want to ask Elise to come back on, or are we?
Yeah. Yeah, I thought she would just automatically come on, but
I was texting her and I just wanted to make sure I had the right number.
Why? You turned it on that time.
I unmuted.
So I sent her a text, so hopefully she joins shortly.
Oh, right. That worked fine. You sounded good. You want to try using this? I think we tried. Yeah, because you guys heard Christy, right? Yes. Yeah. So you can mute your laptop.
And try it. I thought we did that and it didn't work, but I'm happy to try it again.
okay, Elise is back on.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Great. I will go ahead and share my screen here. So this is a public hearing and second reading of an ordinance that would approve of a license agreement for the installation of a berm with landscaping that will be partially in the Willets Lane right-of-way in River Oaks. The request is being made by 10 River Oaks LLC. As was identified at the last meeting, the property subject to the request is 10 River Oaks. It's on the corner of River Oaks and Willets Lane. And you can see that on the vicinity map we have here on the screen. As was described at first reading, the applicants would like to install a berm with landscaping to provide visual and sound buffer between Willets Lane right here and the new house that would be constructed in this location of the existing house. The berm is proposed to be partially on the applicant's property and partially in the Willets Lane right-of-way, which you can see here is the area of the proposed license agreement. There is a smaller berm that currently exists on the site, and the applicant is looking to expand it in the same area. In reviewing the request, as was noted at first reading, staff checked with Public Works as well as the town's other referral agencies to see if they had any concerns, none of which had concerns about the berm. The town's hydrologist, Robert Crable, also looked at it to ensure that the berm wouldn't create issues with the floodplain or impact the base flood elevation. Robert Crable indicated that it would not impact the floodplain. Staff also worked with the applicants to ensure that the proposed berm would be at least 10 feet away from the Willets Lane sidewalk trail. In the case that there was a desire to expand the activities in the Willets Lane right-of-way to include, potentially a future bike lane, as was identified in the Mid-Valley Trails Plan. The proposed agreement is revocable and indemnifies the town. If we ever needed to use that area, we could remove it. It was also reviewed by the town attorney. And at the last meeting, council approved the ordinance on first reading, but wanted staff to identify some criteria for license agreement evaluation. And we have identified on our staff memo what staff has been looking at with regards to license agreement in terms of criteria. Staff generally believes that it meets those criteria that we've been looking at it based on. So this evening, staff would recommend taking applicant comments as well as taking public comments and then providing council discussion. And if you're comfortable, you could approve it on second reading. We do have the applicants here this evening. We've got Patrick Westfield as well as Flynn Stewart-Severy. Do you guys have any comments?
So this is Ben Neefield with Design Workshop. Thank you, Council, and thank you, Mayor Kane. I would like to point out just a few additional things. Thank you, James, for going through that. This is really driven because of the increased residential and commercial traffic that will be coming down River Oaks Lane, especially being right next to the commercial district. They want to feel like they're living on the river, and it's also going to be a benefit to the HOA as well. The HOA fully endorses this move. The berm is located within the area that includes the least amount of existing trees, so it's supposed to complement the existing trees on the eastern side of the property. We are constrained by the floodplain to the southern portion of the property, and for that reason, we do want to maintain 3-to-1 slopes on average so that we can have a very naturalistic type slope with natural plantings and no issues there. I believe that's all I have. Flynn, if you have anything else, please feel free.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, we didn't really touch on it at the first reading, but the original proposal that I came forward with was an architectural fence or wall. And I think what Design Workshop and Ben has proposed is by far a better upgrade. A nicer transition from what's a very residential neighborhood to an industrial zoning complex. And the alternative for us would be a a dense wall of some kind. So I'd encourage everyone to support this. I know the strategy behind the landscaping was to blend these two districts, and we collaborated quite a bit with staff on designing this. This isn't an isolated presentation. This is a collaboration with the town.
Patrick, do you have comments?
No, thanks for asking. I've been working closely underneath Flynn and with Ben, and I think they've done a great job. Thanks.
Patrick, are you related to the famous Weems Westfeld by any chance?
Some people think he's famous, some people maybe not.
Well, I know one thing, you probably ski pretty darn well.
Thanks, Billy.
Yeah. Yeah, the best, so thanks.
Yeah.
Comments, questions of council of the applicants? All right, hearing none, I entertain a motion to approve.
Just 1 second.
Oh, we got to do a public hearing, sorry.
Yeah,
There's that small nettlesome detail. Yeah, this is the second reading, will require a hearing. So at 6:55 p.m. I will open the public hearing. So Susan, if you'd explain for those that might want to call in.
Sure. Our call-in number is 1-253-215-8782. And when prompted, I hit the webinar ID, which is 926-0159-5836. And alternatively, you can always go to the first page in the agenda packet, which is online, and hit the Zoom link, and Pam can let you in. We usually have a pretty good idea before a public hearing if we have questions or concerns, and we haven't received anything from any neighbors or any questions. And Pam, I just want to acknowledge that we don't have anybody in the waiting room.
I just see, looks like Ryan Slack is all that's there. I'll let him into the meeting again.
Okay, so so I think we're probably good to go, Mayor.
Okay. So then at 6:57, I will close the public hearing and ask if there is a motion to approve ordinance number 5, series of 2021.
Mayor, I move the town council adopt ordinance number 5, series of 2021 on second reading.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. So it's been moved and seconded. Pam, please call the roll.
Absolutely. Let's try. Let's start with David Knight.
Yes.
Thank you, David. Glenn Drummond.
Yes.
Thank you, Glenn. Bill Kane.
Yes.
Thank you, Bill. Ryan Slack.
Yes.
Thank you, Ryan. Gary Tenenbaum.
No.
Thank you, Gary. And Elise Huddle.
Yes.
Thank you, Elise. Motion carries 5-1.
Thank you very much. That takes us to item number 7C, the public hearing, second reading of ordinance number 6, series of 2021. This is an ordinance of the Town Council, Town of Basalt, Colorado, approving water rate charges pursuant to section 1347 of the Town Code. Christy and Jeff.
So, Mr. Mayor, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Great. I've moved into the council room to give it a test here, but I will start this item, and then Christy can talk about any intimate details on the numbers, but at the first reading, we described that during our annual audit, our auditors had discovered that there was a discrepancy between our Cassell financial software that we use and the ordinance that we had passed in 2019. In late 2018, the town council provided direction to increase our water rates by 45%, and we did that. And what we didn't capture at that time is that Cassell had experienced an inflationary increase sometime in the past, and we that was not reflected in the ordinance. So this is really a housekeeping issue to bring the Cassell software system into compliance or into parity with what our code also states. I think it's important to note that our water customers will not see an increase for those in-town water rates. So they've already been charged that 45% increase, and were prior to that also included the inflationary increase that was in Cassell. So I think we're fine on that note. The increase that some of our customers will see, about 20 customers, is for those out-of-town rates. And the customers that have out-of-town service did sign a contract with the town acknowledging that they had extraterritorial service and that the rates were higher. And for a number of years here, they've just been charged the in-town rates. We have sent letters out to all of those folks. We did that last Thursday after we were able to compile all of the different accounts and provide them also an explanation of what we thought the increase would be, which when we compare it to the 2020 usage, is about $8.53 per month for those users. With that, the other thing that we'll bring back at a later time would be just basically compiling all of the water rates and putting them all into one section of the code. But we're also intending to go out for another water rate study later in the year, and so we didn't want to go through that effort to only have to change it again. So we will bring that back. But in the meantime, as an audit finding, we just wanted to get ahead of this and go ahead and make that correction.
Okay. Questions of council? David?
Real quick one. In the future, any thoughts on process just to make sure that if Cassell does an inflationary type change, that, kind of catch it proactively? Is there anything we could do there?
Yes, we, at this point in time, it's an acknowledgement that, before we, modify any fees, just go through that system. And, I think with our current staff, those kind of checks when we're putting in new fees are being done. And so, I think it's just, was an unfortunate oversight. Luckily it wasn't, one that is going to see increases for all of our in-town customers, but yeah, just making sure we're double checking on that would be a pretty simple fix for that.
Cool, thanks.
Yeah, and you actually, David, just for clarity, in Cassell, it doesn't automatically introduce a new fee or an inflationary component. You have to go in there and manually do that. So, so it was just something that had manually been done, 5-10 years ago, and just simply wasn't captured in the ordinance. So just, you know, doing those double checks, I think is really the easiest way.
Totally, that makes sense. Thanks.
Any other questions? All right, well, this is a second reading and a public hearing. So at this point, we will open the public hearing at 7:05 p.m. and ask Susan once again to explain the rules for calling in.
Okay, the simplest way is to call us. The number is on your grassroots screen. You can call 1-253-215-8782, and the webinar ID is 926-0159. 5836, and the easiest way is the first page of your agenda online has the Zoom link that you can hit, and then Pam Schilling, the town clerk, could let you in. And Pam, could you confirm that there isn't anybody on the in the waiting room waiting to get on?
I do not have anyone waiting.
Okay, and you know, if you really have trouble, you can text me at 970-379-1514. So maybe we can have some other questions, and we're probably ready to close the public hearing.
All right, I'll just see if there are more questions before we close the public hearing. Councilors, any questions about our rate increase? Okay, and hearing no public comment, so then I would ask if there's a motion to approve ordinance number 6 on second reading.
I'll do it. Let me get the stop here again. Mayor, I move that the town council approve ordinance number 6, series of 2021 on second reading, or as presented, or on second reading.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Gary by a nose. Okay, so it's been moved and seconded. Pam, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Let's start with Glenn Drummond.
Yes.
Thank you, Glenn. Ryan Slack.
Yes.
Thank you, Ryan. Elise Hoddle.
Yes.
Thank you, Elise. Gary Tenenbaum.
Yes.
Thank you, Gary. David Knight.
Yes.
Thank you, David. And Bill Kane.
Yes.
Thank you, Bill. Motion carries.
All right, thank you very much. Next order of business is item number 7D. It's resolution number 20, series of 2021. It's a resolution of Town Council, Town of Basalt, Colorado, approving the Swinging Bridge Lane Water Line Replacement Project and authorizing staff to enter into a contract with Johnson Construction, Inc. Ryan and Boyd Birnbaum are handling
Yeah,
this.
Mr. Mayor, so we got 2 bids for this project, and this Swinging Bridge Waterline project is one that's been on the books for quite some time. So we are excited to get this underway this summer. And the 2 bids that we received, one was for $662,000, and the second, not close behind, was for $1.169 million. And we did vet the low bidder, and they are a qualified firm, and so we would like to make a recommendation to approve this. And I will caveat on this resolution, we got some information late this afternoon, which is only an engineer's estimate. But you have in here, again, that we will have the ground open. We've been talking to Holy Cross Energy as to whether we'd want to put conduit into the ground for the fiber build that we're doing this summer, or perhaps as a redundancy. And just to remind the council, the fiber build is intended to be overhead in this area and go down Cottonwood Avenue. We thought that either shortcutting down Swinging Bridge Lane or just putting one in there could be a good idea. With the engineer's estimate that we got this afternoon, it was way above this $60,000 allowance. And we did immediately have a conversation with Holy Cross Energy, and they thought, no, for that cost, we're gonna bow out. What we did put in here as a placeholder was $60,000, not to exceed. If we were able to work it into the fiber project and keep those costs low, because they would be shared costs with these other entities. And so at this point in time, if we're left with the $90,000, we just won't proceed on it. I don't think that makes good sense. We'll just go ahead and continue with our original intended build of going overhead. But for sake of this resolution, I might recommend that the council just provide that authorization to me, because we haven't even talked to the contractor about it, as to whether, that price from the engineer was going to be, an accurate one. So with that, I think the resolution at its face value would be recommended by staff, and if it's over that, then we'll just walk away and continue with the original scope of the project as contemplated.
Questions of Ryan? Ryan, I have one. Is this is entirely funded by capital reserve within the water fund? Is that?
Yes, but not the fiber portion. The fiber would not be. The fiber would be part of our fiber project that we had talked about this for this summer, and so that's where we looked at it for sake of efficiency, but right now with the bid that we got back, it doesn't seem to be very efficient at $90,000 or so cost that we received back from the engineer's estimate.
Yeah, just to give us a sense of sort of proportion here, this 600 and plus odd $100,000. What do we have on hand for capital reserve in the water fund now?
Oh, Christy, do you by chance, did you hear that? What do we have on hand in the water fund?
So this budget, original budget was 600,000. Is that kind of the question?
No, I think he's asking the total reserve.
What do we have on hand?
In the
budget, or in the water fund.
Oh,
sorry.
Well, as far as the reserve, we're right. We budgeted it just right at where our minimum fund balance policy would be, so we don't have a lot of additional reserves. The overage on this project, we were looking at taking a couple of the other projects that we're not looking at really doing anyway, like Tucker Water Line and potentially Luxinger, and a portion of the Pinion Tank upgrade, and moving those to the next year. So that's how we were looking at funding the project and still staying within our budget scope this year.
Okay.
Does that get to what you were asking, Mayor?
Yeah, I was trying to get a sense for what sort of freeboard we have, what sort of margin we have for, after spending down $650,000, what does that leave us in the capital reserve for the water fund?
Yeah, we've got our minimum reserve, but as far as over and above that, not a lot. The issue with this water line is it's one that breaks pretty much annually. It's been on the books for us to replace for a number of years. And as it stands right now, every time it breaks, we're digging through people's front yards because it's actually run outside of the actual street itself. And so this would actually put it into into the street and, basically have that inconvenience for those neighbors over there eliminated, but, get a brand new line that's just, replaces one that's past its useful life.
That's a ductile iron pipe.
It's part ductile, and I think it's part steel too. So you've got an obsolete material in there. I think it's a little bit of a mishmash from over the years.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah, and I don't know if Boyd, did you have any further comment on that?
Not really. The way I've kind of, assessed the water system is start with our weakest link and start building back up. And I would definitely call Swinging Bridge our weakest link in town as far as integrity on our water line.
All right, that's going to solve a lot of problems. All right, well, thank you. Other questions? All right, Glenn.
What is the change order stipulation in the contract, out of curiosity?
As far as it relates to the fiber, or?
More the overall project. The only thing I worry is like when you have the engineer, we paid SGM to say, hey, this is going to cost you $726,000 and this is below that. And then you have another company that comes in and says this is going to be almost $1.2 million. What is this? What is the change order stipulation like as far as Johnson has? I don't want to see this project end up being $1.2 million.
Sure. And I believe part of what we're seeing right now with bids is you kind of see these wild discrepancies a little bit where, a contractor may be, busy, unable to, really put the pen to paper to study the bids. And so you get these really high ones that they're just throwing numbers at. I think the $600,000 bid is a lot more accurate. And then I think with the contract itself, if I'm not mistaken, it's a guaranteed maximum price.
I think it's a stipulated price contract.
A stipulated,
yeah.
So if they do get in there and find issues that they're unaware of, then there could be those change orders.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So if there's any unknowns in there, then I guess they would be able to do those change orders, Glenn. And I don't know, Boyd, do you have an idea of when they were engineering this? Did they have a lot of, sort of the information to have pretty good certainty on what's in the ground and what kind of issues we're going to run into?
Yes, we took extra time to do our homework on the existing services, what's in the ground. We've even talked about, groundwater. We've walked it several times, so I feel pretty good about it, that it's gonna stay in the ballpark.
Okay. Any further questions? All right, this is a resolution.
Thanks for the, thanks for the fiber conduit part in there too. I think that's a good idea to bury that if it's cost effective.
Yeah.
And to just leave those aerials up. It's a good call.
Yeah, we'll go back and talk to the contractor and see what they have to say.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, though. I'd have to second that one. That makes, better than the overhead scheme. All right. Is there a motion to approve resolution number 20, series of 2021? Water line replacement.
Mayor, I move that the town council adopt resolution number 20, series of 2021 as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Pam, please call the roll.
Certainly. Let's begin with Bill Kane.
Bill, did you hear that?
No, I didn't.
I'm sorry, Bill Kane.
Yes.
Thank you. Ryan Slack.
Ryan, did you hear?
I did hear, sorry, yes.
Thank you, Ryan. David Knight.
Yes.
Thank you, David. Elise Huddle.
Yes.
Thank you, Elise. Glenn Drummond.
Yes.
Thank you, Glenn. Gary Tenenbaum.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Great, thank you very much. We move on to resolution number 21, series of 2021. Resolution of Town Council of Basalt, Colorado, approving the 2021 road maintenance asphalt mill and overlay project and authorize staff to enter into a contract with Frontier Paving. Again, Ryan and Boyd.
So thank you, Mayor. These next two items are, as you said, dealing with our annual maintenance contract. We did bid that out, and Frontier Paving came in as the lowest bidder. And unlike our other projects, we sort of work with them. We've got the money in the budget to cover the cost contemplated in these, and you know, we typically have the benefit if for some reason there were unforeseen expenses, we can just cut back on the roads that we would maintenance. But we haven't had to do that in the last several years. Frontier Paving has the benefit of having their own batch plant, so the numbers are pretty tight, and we expect this to be a good maintenance season as far as asphalt. Basically finishing out Willets Lane. We will have a project that goes on East Valley Road that we're going to do later in the summer towards the return to school that unfortunately goes right in front of a lot of the businesses down there, but that road is the original road from when Willets Town Center was built, so it's in desperate need of a mill and overlay, and so we'll be over communicating with those businesses down there, and it should actually go pretty quickly, but there will be some disruption with that. And then other of these are, you know, just some of the other roads within town, residential roads and whatnot.
Okay, thank you. Questions of council or staff on the asphalt overlay project? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve resolution number 21, series of 2021.
Mayor, I move the town council adopt resolution number 21, series of 2021 as presented.
Second? All right, moved and seconded. Pam, please call the roll.
Certainly. Elise Huddle. I'm sorry, Elise, did you hear me?
She's muted. I think she's.
Oh, she's frozen.
Yeah, she's trying to get on.
She's frozen.
We'll come back.
She's smiling, so yes.
Yeah, that's a sure sign.
We'll come back to Elise. Ryan Slack.
It looks like he dropped off. I'm not seeing him on here.
Yeah, I think Ryan dropped off.
If he's back in here. There he is. Ryan Slack.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, my phone dropped.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bill Kane.
Yes.
Thank you. Elise Huddle. Is she back?
Yes.
Thank you, Elise. Gary Tenenbaum.
Yes.
Thank you, Gary. Glenn Drummond.
Yes.
Thank you, Glenn. And David Knight.
Yes.
Thank you, David. Motion carries.
Thank you very much. We move to 7F, resolution number 22, series of 2021, resolution of the Town Council of Basalt, Colorado, approving the 2021 road maintenance crack and chip seal project and authorizing staff to enter into a contract with GMCO LLC. Ryan and Boyd again.
Yes, so this is similar to the last that I just described, and this is the crack and chip seal that we do annually on roads that are not ready for a full depth, or excuse me, for a mill and overlay, but allow us to get more years out of an existing driving surface, or out of a new driving surface rather, and we have a total on this one of $114,294, and they're ready to get started. I believe it's next week on this project.
Okay, Ryan, what's the area? I mean, what actual roadways? What's the scope of it?
Oh, Boyd, would you be able to enlighten us? I don't have that information right in front of me, Mayor.
Okay.
Boyd, do you have any idea of the specifics on that?
It's set up on a rotation plan. Once we do the chip and seal, we can go another few years without having to get that area done. So we kind of try to move that process around as much as we can, and then once it gets to a point to where it needs some major repair, then that's when we'll do the mill and overlay. So it's kind of a process where the roads are evaluated and decided what
Okay.
needs at the time.
Yeah, that's understandable.
And Mr. Mayor, if you want a specific list of those areas, we could provide that to you. We usually have Matt Wagner. He oversees the details of the maintenance program. So we actually do have a comprehensive list of where we're going to go. I didn't have it in front of me tonight. I apologize.
Yeah, it's fine. What just prompted the question was, for council, if we know that, I know Riverside Drive is going to be as it was last summer. It's not going to be this year. It was chip sealed. It's just nice to be able to get that word out and tell your neighbors what's going on. So I just was kind of curious, but I know how this works. Is basically you have to evaluate the whole road network in the town, and then it becomes, basically varies from year to year in terms of the priorities. So I get it, but that was prompted the question. So.
Sure. We'd be happy to forward something to you, just so that you guys would have that information. And I would just say, not only council, but, the staff that works on this, our roads are in great shape. So that only comes through doing this, annual maintenance plan, because otherwise, if you let it go too long, you lose it, and it's that much more expensive, and you have a lot more grumpy citizens just running through potholes and such. So we've, kudos to our public works crew for keeping up with it.
Yeah, we've gotten high marks from the skateboarders, so that's a good kind of endorsement.
Hey, Mayor, also, we're going to have our variable message boards out, and we're going to be letting people know what's going on and where it's going to happen.
All right, great. That's it. I just want to make sure people know it's coming. Good deal. Yeah, and it's always a sort of, chip seal is always a bit of a public education because people panic. They think that's the finished product, and, so takes a while. All right. Thank you for that. Any questions of our town manager or Boyd, our public works director, on resolution 22? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve resolution 22, series of 2021.
Mayor, I move that the town council adopt resolution number 22, series of 2021 as presented.
Thank you. Counselor, is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Pam, please call the roll.
Certainly. I took a lease on that last one.
Yes, she did.
Thanks, Glenn. Okay. Let's begin with Glenn Drummond.
Yes.
Thank you, Glenn. Gary Tenenbaum.
Yes.
Thank you, Gary. Ryan Slack.
Yes.
Thank you, Ryan. Bill Kane.
Yes.
Thank you, Bill. David Knight.
Yes.
Thank you, David. And Elise Hoddle.
Yes.
Thank you, Elise. Motion carries.
All right, thank you. So last order of business tonight, certainly not the least, is resolution number 23, series of 2021. This is a resolution of the Basalt Town Council, Town of Basalt, Colorado, revoking public health order regarding face coverings. So Ryan and Jeff, I think it's best that you kind of introduce the item and maybe give us a quickie kind of overview of where we are relative to Eagle and Pitkin and what this is going to look like going forward. So the floor is yours.
Okay, Jeff, I'll kick it off, and then I've also asked Chief not to be on standby in case we have any questions about the public health orders. He's studying those all the time to make sure that his staff is up to date on everything that's going on. So at any rate, as you know, we did renew the face covering requirement, and we're going to revisit that on June 8th. And since the last time we did this, things have shifted a bit under our feet, which includes the state, basically getting rid of the face mask requirement, and then Eagle County doing the same. Eagle County's went into effect just about a week ago, and it's certainly causing some confusion in the community where people believe that they're under that order versus the towns. That being said, we do have Pitkin County's face covering or face covering requirement that will remain in effect. I did speak with the public health official Jordana today with Pitkin County, and I think they're seeing increased pressure from businesses and such to relax that. They'll be revisiting that in the not too distant future. However, it will remain in place for now. I did get an inquiry from Council Member Hoddle just to talk a little bit about where we are with the vaccinations. So that was what prompted my call initially to Jordana, and then I also called the Eagle County folks too, and spoke with Birch Barron. And it looks like both counties are at about 60%, give or take, and more on the give side. I think they're seeing a little bit of an uptick now that the 12-year-olds, 12 to 15-year-olds are able to be vaccinated. So those numbers are increasing. And, I think that the position that Eagle County was taking is that, these vaccinations are now available to the majority of folks, albeit not children, but that we also have a means to continue to protect if you're feeling uncomfortable, that you would be able to continue to wear a mask. But if, for folks that feel that they are vaccinated and safe, or otherwise, want to patronize, the businesses throughout town without a mask, that they, that they should be free to do so. It is still up to businesses. If individual businesses would feel more comfortable requiring masks in their stores, they can still do that. And then, up to that personal choice as well. If you go into the grocery store and you feel more comfortable, then by all means, it's something that we want to advocate for, that sort of understanding and kindness for everybody. But it does look like, for now, if this is rescinded, we would have a split in the town where Pitkin counties would be in place. Eagle counties would not. And I will say, as I've said before, there are far fewer businesses affected in Pitkin County as, the sort of entirety of Midland Avenue, a good chunk of Two Rivers Road, basically from the 7-Eleven towards downtown, and then all of Willits and the Basalt industrial area lie within Eagle County. So we have a lion's share of our businesses that are being affected, sort of with this confusion of Eagle County versus town. So not an easy decision. I think we've gotten through it, and I think that we have stated from the get-go on this that we were going to sort of stay out of making the public health decisions from that vantage and leave that to the public health experts. And we're kind of seeing that go by way of, face coverings being optional. So with that, I put it back to Jeff or Chief Nod if there's anything I might have missed on it. And Chief might be able to speak to the enforcement of it, which is at this point in time just ever more difficult with where we are in the pandemic.
Sure. I don't have much to add. I think you summarized it well. This resolution would revoke the public health order requiring face coverings, which applies to wearing them in places of business and otherwise when you're unable to maintain social distancing, and there's several exceptions to that. As Ryan said, if revoked, the county public health orders would apply, and those are ever changing, and in Eagle County's case, less restrictive or non-existent compared to Pitkin County. So happy to answer any questions, but I think Ryan summarized the overall situation quite well.
Do you have anything to add?
Was that for me, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, was. Did you have anything you would like to add, or?
Yeah, the challenge that we're having right now is confusion throughout town. Confusion from what people are hearing from the CDC, confusion from the state of Colorado rescinding their mask ordinance, and the counties. So I think this is the next logical step, is to follow, what the counties and the state are saying, and move forward from there.
All right. Thank you. Questions from council, comments? Elise?
Just a point of clarification for Ryan. Those vaccination rates is that of the population that is eligible for a vaccine, or the total population?
I got that word.
If you know.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So as it relates to Pitkin County, it's for the entire population, so 60%, and that would include those that are not eligible for vaccinations.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a pretty high count. And the 62% that I got from Eagle County, I believe that is of their eligible folks that can get the vaccines the way that I'm looking at this. And unfortunately, I didn't get asked the question until Jeff and I were talking, and we had that exact same thought where Jeff was like, well, is this the entire population or just part of it? And so I think that's just for those that are eligible, to specifically answer your question in Eagle. And we don't have any geographic information on that.
Yeah, no, I figured. And then one other question is, I'm just curious how this will affect the school district. Do they have their own rules, or does this supersede anything, or?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, and that's part of the reason we were holding out until June 8th. which was, just to kind of make any confusion at the schools, since the school property itself here in town between the middle school and high school middle school and elementary school are split, but the district has its own. And so they were continuing the face covering requirement through the end of the school year, which is this week.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
I would just offer a perspective about this. I think since the onset of COVID, since we first learned about it, our position has consistently been that we defer to our public health officials in Eagle and Pitkin County. We are not staffed with public health professionals, and so we rely on our county partners, and it's been very successful. I think we're deeply grateful to both counties and the really competent staff and hard work that has gone into getting us through this. But I think the time has come. I mean, it's Eagle County is basically following the state order, and these mandates are not supported in Eagle County, and I don't think we have the ability to fire up our own sort of. I mean, I think we're just this is a fait accompli. I think we've basically been given a hand to play here, and I think we'd be adding to the confusion by trying to continue our ordinance in the face of the majority of our town being managed through the public health officials of Eagle County, who have said the mandate is no longer in place. So, at any rate, that's I think the hand's been dealt basically. Glenn and I had some sidebars about this. I'd like to hear his comments.
I mean, the biggest thing is, as Bill stated, we've followed CDC guidelines, we followed our health department guidelines. The one thing I would like the public to keep in mind is that the CDC guidelines state vaccinated individuals. So I encourage everyone. That obviously means if we're at 60%, we still got 40% of the population that needs to get vaccinated. Some of those might be children. The approvals are going to be coming. My guess is the government is definitely wanting to get every child vaccinated before the fall. Like, I would just guess that that's the role. So get vaccinated. It doesn't mean if you're not vaccinated, you should be walking around without a mask. Obviously, that's a hard thing to decipher, but here would be the little bit of reward that going to get a vaccine achieves.
Elise?
I just want to follow up on what Glenn was saying. I'm in support of this resolution, but I also want to be really clear and respectful of people who choose to continue to wear a mask for whatever reason. And I would remind, the public that this is similar to any other medical condition. We don't have the right to ask why that person is or is not wearing a mask. So, as we move forward, whatever decision we make, I just want people to be appreciative of, what we've gone through to get here and respectful of their neighbors. I don't want there to be any kind of, vilification for people who choose to continue to wear a mask for whatever reason.
Yeah. Well said. Thank you. David?
I want to echo a lot of the other comments, but we've been listening since day one to public health, and I think it's time for individuals and businesses and families to make the choice, is given the situation we're in. But the most important thing, I think, is, like Elise is saying, we got to be kind to each other and the decisions that people make when we go forward here, and just continue to respect each other and continue to listen to public health advice in the future, right? So, well, if anybody else has comments, I'm happy to make the motion, Mr. Mayor.
David, could I just make one more comment?
Yeah, go ahead.
So you know, this is about, as it pertains to sort of being split, you know, it's not our intent from police standpoint to enforce the Pitkin County law or Pitkin County face covering, that we would defer that to the Pitkin County Sheriff's Office or to Public Health, as, you know, that's, you know, we intend to be consistent throughout the community on our enforcement piece.
Thank you. Other comments, questions? David, I think the floor is open for you.
Mayor, I move that the town council adopt resolution number 23, series of 2021 as presented.
Second.
Second.
Okay, been moved and seconded. Dan, please call the roll.
Yes. Let's begin with Gary Tenenbaum.
Yes.
Thank you, Gary. Ryan Slack.
Yes.
Thank you, Ryan. Bill Kane.
Yes.
Thank you, Bill. Elise Hoddle.
Yes.
Thank you, Elise. David Knight.
Yes.
Thank you, David. Glenn Drummond.
Yes.
Thank you, Glenn. Motion carries.
Thank you, guys. You know, I just a reflection. I mean, I think a year ago, I was thinking we all look forward to the day when we don't have to have a mask ordinance anymore. That's going to be a joyous occasion. The bars will be all open. We'll be dancing in the streets. And, you know, it's just funny. Life doesn't work that way. This is just it feels like a very solemn, kind of serious kind of undertaking. And, you know, I think we all take it seriously. I think it's a serious responsibility. I echo Elise's comments. I hope people are respectful of those that, and I think, you know, I think a lot of us are going to continue to wear a mask into a restaurant till we're seated, maybe out of respect for others, whatever. But, you know, I appreciate the council's thoughts and deliberations on all this. And, you know, I think we should acknowledge that this is actually a good day. This is not a bad day. This is a good thing that we're doing here. So thanks, everybody. Chief.
Yeah, just a clarification from Jeff. This, and for the viewing public, this is effective as of now, that the mask ordinance is rescinded.
That's correct.
Thank you.
No, yeah, keep an eye on the mask bonfires. The mask burnings tonight could be out of hand. I think that's it for tonight, everyone. Thank you very much. The closing note is, I think this is our last Zoom. I think our June 8th meeting is going to be hybrid. It will be face-to-face, but it will be hybrid. You know, we will have the ability for people to dial in and get online and follow the town council meeting. So thanks for sticking with it. You know, it's been 13 months of Zoom, and I, you know, really appreciate all of us kind of hanging in there and sort of getting the people's business done here over laptops. So thank you all, and we'll see everybody soon face to face, and I look forward to it.
Thanks, everyone. See you soon.
Thanks.